What makes the comic books at the convention you go to perfect? Plenty of panels. Welcome to Comic Book Editions Volume 235. There's a comic book I've been chasing for over 5 years, and I finally caught it, and I'll share it with you in today's video. I have a Funko Pop that's pretty rare. Maybe you never knew it existed. I'll share that today as well. I went to C2E2, and I want to talk about that. Plus, my birthday is coming up this upcoming weekend. I'm going to let you know how you can celebrate with me as well. That's all coming up in this Wonder Woman themed Comic Book Editions Volume 235 video. I'm happy that you're here for it. Welcome. Let's get started with a great Wonder Woman action figure. This is part of the Super Powers line that Mattel has done, the McFarlane line of Super Powers figures. In Comic Book Editions Volume 136, I shared with you the original McFarlane Super Powers Wonder Woman action figure. This is a spin, see what I did there, or a variant of that figure. And this figure, when you look at it, most notably, first you might notice that she has a blue cape, where in the first version of the action figure, she was wearing a red cape. Also, some of the colors are toned down a little bit, especially like the blue on the shorts. That is a lot milder than the original blue was on the other action figure. I'd never actually seen one of these in the stores, but I found it on Amazon and they had a really, really good price on it. So good of a price that I couldn't refuse. So that's why I decided to snatch it up and add it into the collection. There was a time when the budget was a little bit different that I would go out and pick up every Wonder Woman piece of merchandise that I could. Finances aren't what they used to be, and I haven't been doing that for quite some time, but I just try to pick up the other stuff outside of the comic books that really speaks to me or that I really enjoy. And this was, and still there's some of that I still enjoy, and I still don't get all of it, but this was one that I thought was pretty cool, and I wanted to make sure I added into the collection. Up next, I'm really excited about this. You might not ever know that this existed. You might be looking at this and saying, what the heck is that? This is Conan, as in Conan O'Brien, not Conan the Barbarian. Conan as Wonder Woman. So this goes back to 2020, when pandemic was going on. The original plan in 2020 was for this to be an SDCC exclusive. And I think that the Conan Team Coco team had come up with 5 of them. They were going to have Conan as Wonder Woman, Conan as Superman, Conan as Batman, Conan as Aquaman, and I think Conan as Flash were the 5 that they were going to do. And they were going to sell those as an SDCC exclusive. COVID happens. They don't know exactly what to do with these. What they ended up doing was giving them away in a contest. So you couldn't buy it. You had to win it. First of all, I don't like those type of products. Sure, give some away. I'm all for that. Give people a chance to win it, but give people a chance to buy it as well. Because generally what happens is the people that desperately want one don't end up winning one. And then people who only want it because they want to flip it are the ones that end up winning it. So the true fans don't actually get their hands on it. So I'm against that in any area of people that do win exclusives only. You know, heck, put it for sale and make it as a charity. You know, you'll donate money into the charity. That's awesome. I'm all for that. That's cool. But I did get my hands on this. I had been looking at these for a while, and surprisingly, the price had gone down. What I like about the seller that I bought this from, they included back here the original letter that came from Team Coco from winning the item. So I had that as part of my collection as well. And a hot take here, because I don't know when I would ever have the chance to talk about this in a different comic book editions video and be on topic like I am right now. If Woody Woodpecker was a human being, I think he would look like Conan O'Brien. I really, really do. You can let me know in the comments if you agree with me or not. But this Funko Pop, there was a time I thought it's not going to end up in the collection because I didn't want to pay the amount of money that they were asking for it. But it's amazing when the price goes down and you end up getting a coupon code. Bing, bang, boom. Next thing you know, it's on a comic book editions video for you. Isn't this cool? Isn't this fun? Are there any others that you would want? I'm not the biggest watcher of Conan O'Brien's content. I know he's a big superhero fan too, which I really probably should be more. It's not that I dislike him. I just don't consume a lot of his content, but I probably should. Maybe I was bitter about not winning one. That could have been it. I don't know. Let's get into some comic books for you. This one, completely purchased because of this gorgeous, and I do mean gorgeous, cover. Michael Stribling did this cover from 2005. This is JLA Classified, Volume 1, issue number 11. I only have like just a couple issues. This might be maybe my second issue I have from this series, but the series is pretty good, and I do like it. Completely bought because of the cover, of course, and the other one that I have has got a strong focused Wonder Woman cover on it too. Before I forget, I want to let you know that I ended up on some extra YouTube streams last week, which was a ton of fun. I want to thank Gary B., the casual comic guy, who invited me to come on to be a guest host on his 10-1-1 program. Lettuce Comics was doing the 10-1-1, was in the hot seat, and I was just one of the extra panelists. Kind of a last-minute decision, because I think some of his regular schedule hosts or co-hosts fell out, and he asked me if I'd be interested, and that was a lot of fun. You really get to learn someone by being part of the 10-1-1 show. So I appreciate that so much. John's Comics with Kids and No Good Comics invited me to be on Omni X-Men, which this season is Omni New Mutants. So that was fun to do that as well. I didn't know last week when I dropped my video that I would be doing or being on those programs, which is why I didn't end up mentioning them last week. But I did include them in the collaborations playlist folder on my YouTube channel, which is where you can always find appearances that I've made on other folks' channels. And I love collaborating with this great, awesome comic book community. This cover is just too much not to have in the collection. So this is Justice issue number 5 from 2006. Obviously, Alex Ross is the cover, the writer, the interior artist. I have the Justice hardcover book, which was gifted to me from Mr. Fridge Art, which is so beautiful. You know, it's the Legion of Doom versus the Justice League of America, just like the old Bronze Age Challenge of the Super Friends cartoon. That's what this book is. I love having this into my collection. And I didn't have any of the individual issues. I thought the hardcover would be good, but when I saw this at a comic book store in the area, price was good, the condition was good, and I thought, just pick this up because this is such a great Cheetah versus Wonder Woman cover. Not having this in my collection would be a downer for sure. Hey, if you're new to my channel and haven't subscribed yet, I love it if you take this time to do so. It really is a great way to show support. The algorithm loves it if you give the video a thumbs up, a heart, a like, and I love reading your comments, which I'll ask for at the end of today's video. So thank you for your support as I try to make my way up to that 1,000 subscriber mark. Here's something that I think is a treat. I didn't tease this at the beginning of the video, but it's definitely a treat, I think. I ended up picking this up on eBay. This is a Mexican version of Wonder Woman, Marvila number 178. So this is a reprint of Wonder Woman Volume 1, issue 103, but it has a different cover than what the US version had. This, as a matter of fact, is the splash page from the issue that they turned into the cover. In 1959, Wonder Woman Volume 1, issue 103 was originally released. This version of it, the Mexican version of it, didn't come out in their country until 1970. So there was a little bit of a gap there, you know, over 10-year gap before the U.S. stories made their way down there. There are some other Marvila covers that were different than the U.S. versions, their U.S. counterparts, I should say, and I'd love to get those into the collection. You know, that's one of the little niches into the international foreign market variants that I love, is getting the books that have the same story as the US in their own language, but a different cover. So I want to try to get some of those too. This issue was a very interesting one, just for the sheer fact that Wonder Woman demonstrates a power that you typically don't associate with her. And I think it might have been the only time that they ended up saying this was one of her powers. And it's the ability to shrink to a very minute size, you know, kind of like the atom. She needed it for this story. I guess she never needed it after that, because they quickly forgot that that was something they established, at least in this one story, that she could do. So Very stoked to end up with this cover into the collection. Let's turn now to some of my C2E2 haul. Yeah, let's do that. So I went to Sunday of C2E2 this year, which was on the 13th of April. And first up, I got in line to meet Tom King, Wonder Woman's current writer. That was #1 priority for me in terms of the celebrity guests that they had. And I had such a great time at C2E2. Tom King was an hour late getting to his booth, which I hear has kind of become a common occurrence. And I'll say, honestly, it was starting to tick me off a little bit waiting, because I'm like, this is my convention. You know, I'm not doing things and seeing things that I want to see because I'm waiting for someone that didn't show up. But that feeling quickly dismissed when he got there. I was about 12th in line, so I was fairly high up, but he spends really good time with each person. And once I got to him, he was so fantastic that it was worth the wait. I guess that's the best way to say it. Worth the wait. And not only did I have him sign my book, I asked him to do his famous remark that he's known for, kind of the stick figure. Only normally on the remarks, I notice when he's done, he writes sorry with a little arrow pointing to his remark. And he didn't do that on this one. I guess he's not sorry. Had a great talk with him. Learned a little bit about some behind the scenes on Wonder Woman. Actually, later on in this video, I'm going to share with you some recent Wonder Woman incentive covers from his run. So look for that as the last books that I'm going to show in today's video. I had a version of this comic book that copy 801 got signed for me at New York Comic Con, and he got it signed by three of the creative team, including Tom King. It wasn't personalized to me, and at first I really like the personalized comic books, but at first I thought, well, I'll just take that and just have him personalize my name to it. But the more I thought, I kind of like just having that one version that's just signed by the three of them that isn't personalized, and I'll just take another copy of this book with me to get signed, which was the game plan that I ended up doing. And it was in Comic Book Editions Volume 172 that you can see that copy 801 AOK from New York Comic Con last year that he got with the 3 signatures on it. So sweet. And then, of course, didn't pick this up at C2E2, but afterwards, because I used my original copy of issue 1, I wanted to replace it with a non-signed copy to have in the collection. And it's surprising that this book, I know it sold out and did multiple printings, but a first print of this really wasn't as easy to find at a lower price as you would think. So I had to do a little, I mean, there's still a few out there here and there on the internet, but I had to do a little bit of digging to find one at a pretty low price or pretty close to cover price, and then compare the shipping options that all the different sites had. But I was able to get one to replace the one that I took and had written on. So after Tom King, it was time to go see Jenny Frison. I had met her before. Such a sweetheart. She was a sweetheart again. I love her husband, Steve, as well. He's great to deal with. This, and what Jenny does is first 3 autographs are free. Beyond that, it's a $5 charge. So what I chose to get signed first was the Justice League Unlimited #5. That was done back in March, just last month, for International Women's History Month. This is the variant for it. And I thought this would be cool to have Jenny sign. She was a sweetheart again. So talented. And in the future on my channel, I'll be sharing some more Jenny Frison in months to come. That's related to the C2E2 experience that I had with her. And it truly was an experience. More details on that later. And in addition to that comic book for International Women's History Month, she did the Absolute Wonder Woman. So I decided to bring that along because I thought the 2 pieces, quite honestly, were a nice companion to one another, especially if I'd end up framing them and putting them together. I thought one complemented the other very well. So that's why I chose this book. Also, I got to spend time with Signature King Tony Fett. He was in for C2E2, and we spent the entire day together. We'll be on Fanboys Live in the Retro Review, the greatest DC comic show on YouTube, this upcoming Sunday night at 8:15 p.m. Eastern, 7:15 p.m. Central, and I'm sure that we'll be talking about our C2E2 experiences. I'm sure Tony's life is not the same now that he's had the Magic Lasso experience in person. I'm assuming correctly so. just saying. But yeah, it was great getting a chance to reconnect with Jenny Frison. Also later on, creator-wise, I had a chance to meet Jill Thompson. Jill did some of the artwork when George Perez stopped drawing the book but was still writing it. And I'll circle back around to Jill Thompson in just a little bit. But I want to show you some David Finch that I got signed at C2E2. This David Finch, DC is like, all the characters got to have a new costume at this time. And so this was the new Wonder Woman costume that he created that debuted in Wonder Woman Volume 4, issue number 46. David Finch did an incredibly nice thing for me years ago. There was this variant Wonder Woman comic book that was so expensive and so hard to find. Most stores didn't even order one because the book wasn't selling that well at the time. And I tweeted him asking if he had any suggestions. The week it came out, I tweeted him and I asked him if he had any suggestions where I could find one. And he said, oh, I'm sure I have one laying around the house I could send you, which he did. Extremely nice. So I wanted to go and thank him for that. I sent him something personal back. And I thought he would remember that story because what I sent him was kind of different and unique, probably than what anyone else had ever done. But I was telling him the story and he literally I could tell he had no recollection of it. And I didn't feel embarrassed, but I'm like, oh, he didn't remember that. I mean, it really stuck for me, but I just thought it was such a different experience that he might go, I do remember that, He didn't. So I kind of just quickly moved off of that topic. I did get another one signed by David Finch. This is issue number 47. So we have a great cheetah cover there. Wonder Woman and Cheetah from this run of volume 4 issues. A project that I worked on with these 4 creators that I just mentioned to you that I saw at C2E2, you might remember me showing this book in a previous comic book editions video. I just got it at Ollie's. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to get it signed by some of the creators or people that are associated with Wonder Woman? So on the front cover, I have it signed by Tom King and signed by Jenny Frison. Jenny Frison, I think, thought that was pretty cool that I chose this as an option to get signed. I remember her pointing this out, the book, that she was going to sign this book out to her husband, Steve. And I didn't hear what they said, but they said something back and forth to each other about this. And on the back cover, since it was the same image, I had Jill Thompson and David Finch sign this. And I thought it would be fun just to get both the front covers, the spaces left in them, and the back covers and the spaces left in them signed by different creators. And I just thought it might just be a fun little side project to have. And in addition, since I used my personal copy, I bought another copy from Ollie's, an unsigned one, to be my reader copy, so to speak. Because I know every time you open up these hardcover books, you're working on the binding a little bit too, and I wanted the book to get as damaged. So just better to have a second copy, especially when it comes from Ollie's and it's affordable. But this is a cute little fun book that I thought would be neat to have in the collection. Had a blast at C2E2. Man, I saw some good cosplay. I saw a Wilma Flintstone that I thought was really good. I saw someone cosplaying as Little Debbie. Was not expecting to see that. Celebrities were in attendance. I even saw Molly Ringwald. The entire Breakfast Club cast was there, including Molly. I really enjoyed the X-Men 97 area that Unknown Comics had set up. And man, did they have a huge amount of the cast of X-Men 97 voice talent at this year's C2E2. And some of them I spoke to, and others I just enjoyed being around. Unfortunately, Lenore Zahn was not there. I might have met her. She's the voice of Rogue. She's pretty awesome, and I really applaud her for some of the things she's done in her personal life too. But C2E2 overall, such a blast. I have some other comic books that don't feature Wonder Woman that I'll show in the future on a comic book editions video here on my channel, so look for that in the upcoming weeks. Right now, I want to switch over to that comic book that I spent over 5 years chasing. Let's show it to you. And I'll tell you why I was lazily chasing it and why it took so long. Isn't this fun? Wonder Woman Volume 1, issue number 84. This is 1956 at this time. So Herb Novak did the cover. Robert Kanigher wrote the story. Harry Peter did the artwork interior for this. I had actually seen this pre-pandemic one year at C2E2, and this yellow cover just pops. And I'm like, what a cool cover with a Wonder Woman versus a Wonder Woman. I looked to see what issue it was, and I started looking for it online lazily, because when you type Wonder Woman 84 into a search engine, even though you mean the comic book and you put in the number sign, you get so much Wonder Woman 1984 movie results, and that's not what I wanted. I saved the search, and honestly, you don't see this comic book come up a lot online. I have searched other places for this comic book online and haven't had a lot of success. And when I did find it online, the price was nowhere in the budget that I wanted to get. I really felt like I lucked out with this one because it's in a really nice condition, especially for a book as old as this is. And the price was really fair. It was a better deal than I had really seen for this book anywhere else. So they come into your life, these comic books, sometimes when they're ready to, and it was ready to come into my life. And I consider this kind of an early birthday gift to me, adding this into the collection. Now, what was a little interesting is this book, the seller was in Minnesota, so it had to travel from Minnesota to Wisconsin. You would think that that would be pretty fast. Well, the post office, for unknown reasons, sent the book to Arizona, where it stayed for, 4 or 5 days before Arizona finally forwarded it on to Wisconsin. I don't know how that ended up in Arizona. I could get on a rant about the post office, probably not the right time or the right place, and I'm in a little bit better mood than that anyway. So this story features the Angle Man, but this is back before he was a costumed villain, with the angler and the shades and the cool outfit and everything. He was just this gangster type thug that just had the perfect angle to accomplish whatever goal that he wanted to do. And the Angle Man has this robot Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman's investigating who this person is that can seemingly do all the things that she can do, and even going underwater, which makes it interesting that the robot could go underwater and not run into some problems. We'll just suspend disbelief there for a second here. But the cover's awesome. The story was okay. And that's kind of what I expected it to be. Some of these stories from this era, especially Robert Kanigher, you don't exactly know what you're going to get. I'm good with how everything kind of turned out with this one, though. Let's share some recent Wonder Woman incentive covers for you from this Volume 6 run. It seems like DC has just been doing 1 in 25 incentive variants now. Anything higher than that, they've kind of been saving for the Absolute Wonder Woman series, or some of the con exclusives that seem to be geared more towards Absolute Wonder Woman. Here's issue number 16, 1 in 25 incentive by Yi-Hung Lee. Here's issue number 17, Simone Di Meo. The reason I like to show these is because I think a lot of times, you might see all of the different variant covers at an LCS, but maybe they didn't order enough to get the incentive cover, or maybe the incentive cover gets put away for someone else, so it never actually makes the shelf. And sometimes you don't get the chance to see these beautiful covers like this one. This is issue 18. Of course, Trinity's birth occurred a few issues prior to this. And it's interesting that Tom King told me in his booth that DC had wanted to put the death of Steve Trevor and the birth of Trinity in the same issue. And he's like, no, that's too big of events for her to happen in the same issue. Got to spread those out, and I think I agree with him. I would love to have a print of this, like signed by Nicola Scott. She lives over in Australia, so that makes it a little bit difficult, but I absolutely love this cover. Issue 19 kind of wrapped up the Sovereign storyline and set us up for the future Mouse Man story that Tom King's going to tell. He did tell me that he would love to use all of the different DC classic villains from Wonder Woman's roster, with the exception of Egg Fu, even though his editor actually pitched him Egg Fu. Ramon Perez variant for the 1 in 25 on this. And then the current issue that just came out last week, issue 20, this is a Tirso variant. I like the little dog that's sitting next to Wonder Woman on the cover. So in between wrapping up Sovereign and getting into the Mouseman storyline, we have like this, I think it's a 2-issue arc with Batman guest starring, and he has gone to Olympus to help solve a murder, the murder of Ares, which did Hippolyta do it or not? That's what we're finding out. And this is the current issue, which sets up that storyline. So those are some of the recent incentive variants for the Wonder Woman Volume 6 title that I've added into my collection. My birthday is coming up this Saturday. Number one thing you can do to make me happy, if you would so like to bestow a birthday gift upon me, is get me another subscriber to my YouTube channel. You might already be subscribed, which I certainly do appreciate, and thank you for coming back. If you can find me another subscriber, that would be awesome. That's like the number one thing I would like to have. I'm also going to do on Instagram, I've never done this. You know how they have in the Instagram stories a question and answer, ask me anything? This weekend, I'm going to do my very first ever Ask Me Anything. And I'm a little nervous about it. And especially what if I don't get any, what if no one asks me anything? I love submitting questions to other people, but it's going to be my turn in the hot seat this weekend. So look for that on Instagram at @TheMagicLasso and start asking me a question. And why don't we use the hashtag on Instagram, hashtag WW4Ryan, Wonder Woman 4 Ryan. Share something Wonder Woman that's in your collection. Maybe from her title, maybe an action figure, a Funko Pop, or whatever you have with Wonder Woman in it. Maybe she's guest starring in another book. Whatever you like that you have in your collection, share it with me, and I'll be following that hashtag. It will be a great way to say that you're thinking of me, and I certainly would appreciate it too. So now that we're at the end of this Comic Book Editions Volume 235 video, what was your favorite thing out of everything that I shared today? Make sure to leave me a comment and let me know, as I love reading those. The back issue of the week YouTube short is currently up and running on my channel. Check out that. It is about, on the week of my birthday, I always do a back issue of the week that is really sentimental to me about a particular comic book in my collection. And this time it's an Avengers comic book. So look for that in the collection right now and why it means, or what I like about that story. So you can check that out now. I mentioned Fanboys Live and the Retro Review coming up this week, and that kind of catches you up to date on everything that's going on here. I hope that you have a happy, healthy, successful, and fun week, and I look forward to visiting again with you soon. Until then, take care. It seems that they've just been doing 1 in 25 incentive. How do you pick up the wrong book? What makes the comic books at the convention you go to? I completely forgot what the joke was.